Stone boy,
boy.
you know I understand you now.
One God again.
Yeah, I like honey.
Yeah.
Hi, hello, what's up, people? This is your boy, your handsome Jack, KOBBIBRIGHT from KOBBIBRIGHT TV, and you are welcome again today on our first episode of KOBBIBRIGHT TV. Today, we are very pleased to come on your way on your screens at your various homes, and I know you're anticipating to watch our first episode. I have my wonderful guests with me here. They are going to help me chair today's program, and I will start with a lady on my left. She's called Gifty Akosia Lumba. Of course, as the name goes, she's a member of the die-hard fans of that Lumba. Of course, we are pleased to have you here, madam. You're welcome
Thank you for having me.
to KOBBIBRIGHT show.
Thank you for having me.
And next is a gentleman. He goes by the name Daniel Pakwisi Ochre. He is a social media activist, also a feminist as well. And bro, we are blessed to have you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So today we are going to look at the information reaching us, the trending news happening in our Ghanaian industry today. And these people are the very best people to have on our show here to have a wonderful conversation. So over the week, the Excellency President Nana Addo has actually touched on so many things concerning his 10th update on the coronavirus. We are going to punch on so many things. But first, as we go, the president talks about school, that all final year students are to resume school except for the rest. Do you think it's a good thing for our Ghanaian schools and for parents as well at home? Let me start with you.
So I want to be charitable to the president and maybe ride in his side and say that prior to the announcement, they told us they were doing consultations. So I believe that decision came about as a result of the consultation. So we'll see how it goes. I think I have little information to assess the good side of it or the bad side of it. So until it is rolled out, we can't really tell how it is going to be like. So let's wait for the...
Right, Akosia, I don't know how informed you are to this, but they are saying that schools are to resume in somewhere June. So what do you say? Do you think it's a good idea for the president to say that?
Okay, so this is concerning all final year students at the various levels. So I believe that the government has done a lot of consultations with stakeholders before taking this idea. So I believe that it's in the right direction. We can't live our lives in bondage because of corona. Of course, it's deadly, it's dangerous, and if all precaution measures are
being taken
put into place and everybody is being cautious, then I think it's okay for the government to have done this.
Okay, right, quick one. Okay, let me come to you. With regards to that, I think GS and some concerned parents has raised issues that with that, parents or students who are in their final year students, especially the GHS3 students and the SHS3 students, are to send phones to school. You think is the best idea? Because we know these students, I mean, there are so many ways they can use this as a negative way to spoil their brand in school. What do you think?
I think at this point, we are all as a nation confused somehow.
Okay.
So with exception to people who are not following, but people who are following, it looks like it's a try and error thing for us to see which one will work best for us, you know. But for me, I think there will be no need taking the phones, because if you want to hear from your ward, you know, there are teachers who are very flexible that you can talk through them to your wards and all that. So we assess the advantage and disadvantage of it. If the disadvantage weighs the advantage, then we should not allow them to take phones into the school, because we know before the corona set in, I think somewhere in a Jura or somewhere in the Ashanti region, we had a video from one senior high school where girls posted something on the internet and all that. So with that, phones were not allowed into schools. So now that we are going to allow them, it means we are going to have a lot of those things
going on in the schools.
And I think it will not help our wards.
Okay. Well, I see. So, Akosia, so they are saying that every classroom should take maximum 30 students for the junior high level and I think for the senior high, 25 or so. Tertiary, I think half of the class per lecture. Do you think is the right way? Don't you think, I mean, we are going to get to this corona thing, spreading the whole classroom or something?
Oh, no. It should be based on the space of the class. So we all know we are not to take more than 25 people.
Yeah.
So the directive is just good. The students should not all be in the class at the same time to this disease so that they don't spread it. Some few meters away is good.
But
so,
we know our Ghanaian students, especially, let me come back to the junior high level.
yeah.
Don't you think one way or the other, someone will borrow someone's face mask, nose mask, and those things?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, let me come to you. Don't you think so? Because
even if it's not with a face mask, you know, somebody can come and be like, okay, can I use your maset? Can I use your pen? You know, all these things, because it's the usual things we do every day. And truth be told, it looks like we are forgetting ourselves that there's corona in the system.
I feel the same way sometimes.
You know, so when we allow our students in, we should not have at the back of our mind that they will also forget themselves. Truth be told, you know, it's not our fault that we are forgetting ourselves, but it looks like the president, the government don't want to take responsibility on our behalf. They feel like, okay, we should do it by ourselves, which I think that is very dangerous. So I just want us to wait and see how it unfolds so that we know if the decisions are in our best interest or otherwise.
All right, so do you have any idea when school...
But let me add something.
Okay.
If we had the capacity, all the children and teachers could have tested. You see, if we had
But
that
the issue
capacity.
is, do we have the
But
capacity?
we don't.
You don't.
So we are all just managing. It's
Okay.
Yes.
You leave it to the rest of our village to actually take their action. But I think that parents should be very much concerned about this whole thing. And they know how best they are going to communicate with their students or their people, so that they, one way or the other, will not flaunt against these rules that will be set in their various schools. Next one again, you also mentioned of the churches and mosques, which this very Friday, I think mosques are supposed to be in their various mosques and then have their fellowship. Do you think it's also a best idea? Because I hear that they are to spend at least 1 hour in a service. Do you think it's the best thing for churches and members as well? Because already some of the Pentecostal churches, they spend more than even an hour to take offering. So let me start with you. I think you are reminiscent. Do you have any?
This will still go back to the issue with consultation. I think the president came out boldly and told us he consulted a whole lot of stakeholders to take the decision he took the other day. But you know, it's a little difficult. The reality is that we are all pretending we'll be able to adhere to the various precautionary measures and all that. The reality is we are all pretending because we know ourselves.
All right.
And we know we can't really hold up to even 70% of the measures that have been laid out. But I don't know how or why people just want to go to church. When I think about it, I don't really understand, because we know in this country the places that we gather most is the church. You know, so it's going to be a little difficult. But as I said earlier, let's just wait and see how it ends, because if we don't allow it play out, we cannot tell what is best for us. But it could be too late. But it will also be best for us to know if the measures we are putting in place are going to work in our favor.
Okay, Agusa, don't you think it's a force coming from the various councils, churches and mosques to the president? I think that is why...
Yes, I do believe that is very prudent. They have really done well. That's the best way to go. I believe they're also charismatic churches. So, or Pentecostal. The others should emulate that. It's not because the government is saying you're free to do it. There is nothing wrong worshiping at home. Muslims do that. Wherever they get to, they spread their mats, they do that. It's except Christians who just always want to gather. So we can do this at home. People should not just say because the president says you can, let your people stay at home and still adhere to these precautionary measures instead of bringing them to the churches. If not for some other economic reasons, just let them stay at home.
All right. Okay.
I think I agree with her strongly because it takes a leader to take some of these decisions, and then I'm very happy people like Untitled Chapter and this church has come out to, put out their decision not to go back into the chapel but stay on the internet and have their people, listen to the word of God from that medium. It's very good. And as she said, if everybody else will learn from it, I think we will do ourselves greater good, because we all know our churches, And there was this friend I was talking to. She lives at Medina, so she was telling me she's missed her church members, and for sure, there's no way she can hold back hugging them when they meet at church. Mm-hmm. So see somebody. She's been too frank to say that. And there are other people who want to do other things with other church members because they have missed them. Mm-hmm. So when they meet, they'll forget themselves and do these things.
Okay.
And we all know where it will lead to. Sure. So the best would have been that we all stay at home as much as possible and try to do our part to help in the fight against the disease.
Okay, because don't you think that those who actually agree with what the president says, I don't know, seeking for money, don't you think it's because of the offering that they are actually calling their members to come? Because I spoke to one member who is some child, I don't want to mention it. He said they are actually prepared the ground for church service coming Sunday. So don't you think that they are doing this for money? Because when these churches were closed down, still service were being run in the social media. So don't you think they can still do that at home?
I don't want to think for anybody, but personally, it's obvious that's what people do. When you go to church, you know the norm, offerings, that especially the acquaintances, the counselings. The pastors are also losing some, economic interest because probably some may also not have other a source of income. So they're also worried about their finances and they would want to make their members come at all costs. So they're also looking for their interest. So certainly it's right. Because of financial gains.
KOBBIBRIGHT TV will go to churches on Sundays to find out what is actually going on the various churches. We have some members interviewed and know how they are feeling towards these directives from the president. A quick one. There's another one. George Floyd, who actually has been in the police custody and being brutally harassed. Americans have been doing this protest. The whole of Africa is actually supporting this protest. Do you think it's a wake-up call to end racism? Let me start with you, Fabrice.
I think we have seen numerous of these demonstrations, especially across America, and in similar fashion, things that trigger the demonstration are linked to a white police person maybe abusing a black person, regardless of the age, because we had a white police officer who brutalized a 15-year-old girl. I don't know how strong that girl would be to resist with force for arrest or whatever, but it's been going on for some time, and I think some way, somehow, people would think the protest is welcomed and all that, but we have seen several of that. So maybe we should think about how best to address issues when they happen than maybe the protest, because at the end of the day, when you follow the issues, you realize that the protest is even doing a lot more harm to the image of the black community.
But it was a peace protest.
No, but there were people who were stealing from shops and all that, and, so it's giving back negative image to the black community. You see, so some of the white people who would want to support you would be like, okay, so yeah, you have a legitimate right to go out and protest, but why do you turn it into a negative ending? You see, so it comes back to affect your image, which I think is not working well for the black people. So if they can find a better way to address issues than to always hit the streets, burn stuffs, break into people's shop and do all those crazy things, I think it will be better and people will be ready to listen to them and sympathize with them on a certain level than we are seeing now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in case you have not watched or seen that video, we will leave the link in our comment box. You can press on it. We need to give you that full video of what happened to George Floyd's issue. Now, coming back to you, Akusia, the president has actually sent or tweeted a condolence message to the Bereaved family and also for the people across America. Do you think it's a good idea? Because many people suggest that similar things has actually happened in our country before, and the president didn't take any action, didn't send any message to such people, but yet he moved all the way to America to send the regards. Do you think it's a good thing for the president to have done?
Okay, so if one commits one error, they don't have to continue committing that errors. So if in the past he hadn't done that and he's doing it now
In our own country?
Yes, of course. Probably it's an oversight or something. Yes, if he didn't do it. So the next has happened. It's global. Then if he does it, there is nothing wrong with it. But to start with, it's very inhumane for anybody to treat a human being in that form. This thing about racism, I think this fight, I thought they were more civilized. So why are they the ones doing this? Just hating on people simply because of their race? It's not right. And if authorities would take the appropriate actions, that would be better. These protests, of course, I agree with him. They have done this over and over. So they should now think about what step would help now that would solve this issue, rather than this protest have not helped, have they?
Okay, so,
But
yeah, I want to touch on something about the president's tweet and all that. Sometimes it's good to think for people, but in certain cases too, it's not best to think for people. In this case, I think the president should have allowed citizens or whoever in their private capacity to do what they want to do. He shouldn't have, because when you do it, people will start comparing and all that. So because he did that, now people are referring us back to...
Yes, of course. Becca tweeted the same thing.
Yes.
Sami Jemfi also says something like that. You see, that we are not treating our own people like that, but for others, you are actually...
One example that stood out is Ahmed Suali's death. So now people are saying, okay, when the gentleman died, somebody who has been working for this country is helping to fight corruption in every possible means. When he died, the president said nothing on social media. Okay, he said nothing in public. We don't know if in private he said something, but in public he said nothing.
Are you sure?
Oh, wow, we are all here. If I'm lying, the viewers can check it for themselves.
Okay, all right.
So if you're on somebody, because the president became president because we were told he's incorruptible. So if somebody that is fighting towards a cause you are known for, the person died through a tragic means, the best way as an associate of that person, in a sense, corruption fighters, so associate of that person, you should have come out to sympathize with the family and
I don't know how sure people are with this thing about him not making any condolence messages.
The internet, you see, if he had gone ahead to do that or he did that, the internet is just people will pull out the messages and
remain in error. He's made one mistake. Probably. We are not saying something should happen, so let's wait and see.
Let me touch back on something else. So now we just this morning, around 10 or so, I think, I went on my Facebook. Thank God I did. So
what did you see?
I saw the Year of Return Committee, come out with a poster saying they are going to hold a ceremonial something on behalf of George Floyd. So we're all thinking, wow. So, because the Year of Return was in existence when Ahmed died, we saw nothing of that sort. So, and that is being sanctioned by the tourism ministry, and the Year of Return people. So if we can have agencies of government taking key interest in a foreigners, whatever, okay, if I use foreigner, it could be some way discriminating, but in this sense, a foreigners there than their own person who lived with them, then Charlie, it's not something we should encourage. The truth is, see, people will not be comfortable when we come and talk about the president and his people not doing some of the right things, but we have to talk about it. If not, we'll allow it and to continue that way. Because
but let's not forget that we have Ghanaians living abroad too.
Yeah, sure.
So yes, if they
But president speaking about this is nothing anyway. But the way people actually,
yes,
if it's nothing, we'll not be sitting here talking about it.
Who are blacks are out there. It could have happened to them.
no, my problem is that should it be something that these figures are putting up, pointing figures on the president that
yes, because he carries the weight. You are a president of a 13 million citizens.
But of course, he's actually
you are the only man. You are the only man who can say stop, and the stop has to be done by law. You are the only man. You are the only person in this country.
So is it wrong that the president did that? Is it wrong?
It's not like wrong as such, but I think it wasn't wise. He should have maybe allowed other private people to do their thing. Because the fact that he stepped in, that's why we're having this conversation about comparison. So if he was mute as he were in previous times, nobody would have been
Don't you
here.
think people would have said that president has actually kept mute over this whole thing?
About who cares about Floyd? We are in Ghana, like
No,
we
don't say that.
no, like I mean, no,
as I
no.
said, we also have our people out there.
No, in the contest, who care about him? Because we are in Ghana, we are not Americans. So who cares about him? You
The
understand?
person is
in
black.
the contest.
The person is black.
But we had a black person who also died here in Ghana,
yes,
who was
so
even
could
helping your
it
cause
could
to
also
fight
happen.
corruption.
Yes, he didn't do it. But now he is doing
And somebody
it.
who has no records of any level of association to whatever the president stands for, then you go on your Twitter.
Okay,
No, it's,
all right.
it's not out of
let's not drive deep into this. I mean, let's leave the rest for the people to actually to argue over. All right. So on our next story, a woman backtracks on a promise to a guy that a guy should get 200k likes on Twitter before you move on a date with him. Do you think it's the best day? 2k likes on Twitter.
That was just.
So only akusua pi. Because oh, answer na me no be ko date no. Kona mami 2k likes. Possibly be get Twitter na 2k likes na. Me found pi.
That was just the demand from the.
Yes. And the guy had that likes, but the lady backtracks him.
You know, sometimes some personal decisions are a little weird, but you know, it's people's personal decisions. So I don't know what kind of relationship you are looking for. So to want to get social media, you know, favors to get the relationship. I don't know, but for me, I think it makes no sense to me at all. I know what I want.
It's someone that he crashes. So
that's what I'm saying. I know what I want in a woman. So when I talk to you, I like you, and you give me a demand that looks not reasonable in my mind, there's no way I'll go ahead. So to me, that
will you have done that as a lady?
I think, okay, I'm not a social media enthusiast, but this is very silly for anybody to have done. What are you looking for? Someone wants to go on a date with you. If you're interested, you go. If you're not, what is this condition? And this condition is not real. And I'm really thinking, what was she thinking when she said this to someone?
Maybe she wants someone who has the followers, that massive followers.
For what? Is that going to help the relationship? What would it do?
No, but there are a lot of shows that run up seeking for dates. They have date rush, other stuff too. So what about that one too?
That is for if anybody wants to go on a date rush to find love, I don't see anything wrong with it. Personally, I won't do, but I don't see if anybody has the confidence enough to go there to look for love. It's nothing. But for you to say someone should post something to get likes, for you to go out on a date, should I say it's silly, it's childish? No, this one I don't understand.
And I think too that what will be the aftermath of that? So maybe the next time you want to give birth or something, she'll tell you to go back there,
Go back
maybe
and
do
get
something
2K
or
likes,
some
that's
likes,
it
and,
for-
you know.
yeah.
So what you cannot actually, and you don't start.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
of
So
course.
and everybody should know what they are looking for in a person. So
Okay.
you know, because
Alright,
people
okay.
would love to go that way, but not me. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So that's social media craze. I find it
like,
true.
it's crazy.
I don't think she's a kind that is expecting a date now or a marriage now, because if you're expecting 2K likes from a guy just to go for a date, I mean it's crazy as you're saying. But quick one, let's jump to the compilation of the new voters register. I have not followed that much, but I think you have been roaming in social media nowadays, so maybe you can give us a gist. I hear they are testing the materials or something. Can you give us a
So
gist?
they did a regional pilot phase of it to see if the machines are ready to, you know, take all the, like to help the process when
Okay.
it is rolled out
Okay.
properly, you know, to check whether the weather condition is favorable and all that one.
Oh, I
so,
see.
yeah.
I see. But a lot of other parties are actually demonstrating on this, that it's not a good step for, especially when you're in this coronavirus pandemic thing and then we are doing all these things. Of course, the president made mention of this coronavirus thing. We had to go to church service on 1 hour, but I think you'll be in a queue for almost 2-3 hours in this new registration thing. What do you think?
Okay, so I sympathize with MPP though, but this I don't know why they should do this at this time. And the requirements, how many of us have passports? National ID card, the Ghana card, how many people have those things? So I really do not understand why the EC wants to go ahead.
But
and
Agusa,
do
we've already
this exercise.
spent a year, half of the
Yeah,
year.
the year is
And
already
then
gone.
come December, there will
Yes,
be an
and
election.
we are still in the midst of this pandemic, and you're still asking us to come and queue up to do
We
this.
don't even know how.
I believe, I know it's an agenda, because previously NDC had done that. MPP were demonstrating.
Agenda
let
for
my
what?
votes count. All those things happen. So they have also come. They also want to, and they will do it at all costs.
No, but it
So-
was this same old register that the president, we voted Nanado as a president.
They know the hell they have gone through
Okay,
to get here.
okay.
You see, so probably there could be some things wrong with the voters register, and they know it. How they want, they know it.
But the requirement.
The requirement is a little crazy and unreasonable too somehow, because if you check the reasons they are giving, the EC is giving for, you know, pegging the requirement at what it is, the passport and the what's the name? I think the Ghana card and driver's license or something. It's crazy because we all know that they say our economy is populated by the informal sector and all that. So if we all know this fact, how many of these informal people have Ghana card? Okay, maybe the Ghana card they probably
Ghana card, I don't think everyone
Okay,
has
so
it.
passport and driver's license. They
How
care
many
less
people?
about some of these things because there's no way they would need it, so they'll never go for them. You know. And aside from the requirement thing, I want to touch up on something, and I think that this whole thing is bringing to light the interest of our politicians in the citizens. Me, I can genuinely say that politicians are not there for our good. Anything that is best for them, they are going for it. Regardless of how the population feels about it, they care less. So, you know, we have to start thinking through the issues. It's not MPP issue, it's for politicians. So I mean NDC, MPP, whoever, PPP, all these guys. They care less about the population. So we have to sit down and think through the issues and see how best we can help ourselves. It's then that we can be able to make a change, because all these things that they are doing, like we have people who have knowledge in all these things. They are CSOs. They have come together to say, hey, what you're doing is not going to help this country in any way. Can you kindly relax on that so that we another time see if we can do it? But still, politicians have refused. So this should tell us that, hey, it is time for us as Ghanaians, individuals, to look at ourselves and assess ourselves and see how best we can improve on ourselves. Then we can be able to help the system. If not, we watch these politicians come. I will turn 40. my children will come and complain. They will turn 40, their children will come and complain. And it goes on like that till nothing happens. And so we take interest in ourselves to build our capacity to be able to challenge the system and make it right. You know? So that's the angle I see this thing from, that we should be able to take ourselves seriously so that someday we can help the system. So our kids will not come and sit here and have the same discussions we have. And their kids will come, do the same thing, and it goes on like that.
But why are we pointing on politicians? This decision was actually made by the EC. EC is a non-partisan.
Oh,
He is an intermediate. So why are we pointing on politicians on this?
It's obvious. Let's not deceive ourselves. We can't pretend about this. We know where she comes from. She was appointed by the president, and certainly the president will appoint someone from his camp. So this thing about us pretending, he says on his own, the reality is she is partisan. However we want to see it, she is. And she would also want to pursue some agenda. So let's not pretend about it.
All right, thank you very much. You are still watching KOBBIBRIGHT TV, and I really want to appreciate my guest here today. They're actually making this show very interactive. But quick one, this last one before we go. Are you tired of counting money? Do you get tired of counting money? Because Fela McAfee tweeted yesterday that, are we tired, or do we get tired of counting money? There have been so many people bashing her on this that some say you're a fool, excuse me for my words, some actually bashing her on those things, that even those who call themselves billionaires are still counting money.
You know, I think let me use a line from one of Burna Boy's songs, which says, Dangote is still looking for money or something. He said it in a funny way. Like, you know, see, Dangote is the richest African man. He's still looking for money. Bill Gates is not sitting idle. He's still looking for money. You know, so Charlie, as far as it is good, looking for money is not bad, right? So as far as it is good and it hurts nobody, why not? You look for more money, because that's what will make the life better for all of us. I'm telling you one gospel truth. If we all had money, the system will not be the way it is. You know, the politicians know that we have nothing and we need some penny and stuff from them. So they will capitalize on that and treat us the way they are treating us.
Okay.
You know, if we are all affluent, these things will not be going on
here
in this country. I see. So counting money there, Charlie.
Let me go to
more than good.
So counting money, what did she mean by counting money?
It means that she has it overdose.
Like looking for more money, sort of like.
No, not that. She has it.
Because if you don't look for money, how do you get the money to count it?
She gets tired of counting the money.
Her husband said, how much money do you're too much money?
Too much money.
How much does Fela McAfee has?
That
I think she's okay.
Yeah,
she
so
has a
but
Benz. She's
no, but
to ride in a Benz is not easy. So
it's not easy. But how much is her money? Is she more wealthier than the Despite Senko? So if you are already tired of counting your money, then what would they be doing? But
all right,
Fela McAfee is certainly
okay. Thank you. So this will actually bring us to the end of our conversation. But before we go, do you get tired of counting money? Let's hear your comments, your suggestion. Leave them on our comment section box below, and we are going to actually recommend you for that. Thank you guys for coming. And that has always been Parkway CPK. This is Akusia Lumba. Yes, when you call her that, she's gonna respond. Before you go, your last word. And you tell us your social media handle so that if anyone crashes you out there, I mean, we're gonna search for you.
Okay, so I'm very active on Facebook. I'm Daniel Parkway CPK on Facebook,
okay.
So you can check me out there. And you know, I think that we have to keep having the conversation.
Right.
You see, it shows that we really care about the system and we are following what is going on. So, and the last one is we should take ourselves serious, our individual selves serious, before someone else can take us serious.
Sure.
So if we don't do that, then I think we'll be crying about how other people treat us. So I think that's my very last words for our viewers.
Okay, Akusia.
Okay, so let's stay disciplined.
Right.
Let's not forget about the corona pandemic. Let's still adhere to
Life
all
still goes
the
on. Yeah,
precautionary measures as we go about our daily activities. That's it.
All right, so thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for watching KOBBIBRIGHT TV. I want to say a big thank you to everyone out there for supporting the movement, and to those who left your comments last week on our introductory video. We want to say thank you very much for your suggestion, your comment. Of course, we are taking all your ideas one by one, and we are working upon ourselves. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and then press on the notification bar so that anytime we release a video, you'll be the first person to have it. Thank you for watching KOBBIBRIGHT TV, and thank you very much for sharing our videos as well. Bye-bye.
Is it gonna be worth it? Loving me night and day. Can't keep your hands off me.
You have to understand me now. You have to understand me now. Me dem a come make me not bear my water. You have to understand me now.